everyone. Welcome to Sit Still and Listen.
Welcome.
I am Beth Cornell.
And I'm Sarah Cornell.
And this week, Sarah's going to give our topic. And
we're talking about dogs.
Oh, dogs.
Yeah, we're the big fuzzy happy things. Or the small fuzzy happy things. And it's just a general topic. We don't really know where we're going to end up with dogs. I guess we could start by talking about the dogs that we've had.
Oh, I thought there was a specific thing you had in mind, but maybe not.
No.
Okay.
I like dogs. That was my thought process with this topic.
Sarah grew up with a wolf hybrid. We had a wolf hybrid for about 12 or 13 years.
His name was Lucky.
And he wasn't quite a pup when we got him, but he was almost a year. Very sick, and we nursed him back to health.
He had a skin condition that was very, very similar to a skin condition that I suffer from.
Well, he had Demodex mites. I don't think you have that.
No, I don't. But it reminded me a lot of what I had because he was missing a lot of fur in certain places, and I'm missing actual hair in certain places on myself. So.
Yeah, Sarah had a kind of an eczema. It developed from dermatitis that she was born with, pretty much.
It's fancy schmancy for... I can't wear things that are washed in certain, like laundry masks.
It starts out as a contact dermatitis, and then it turns into an eczema situation.
It's pretty terrible.
Yeah. But the dog was very itchy his entire life, even though he was cured of the mites. And it was like we had to take him for dips. And he also had parvo, and... No, not parvo, distemper. He had that.
I was going to say parvo.
Not parvo. But he was very seriously ill when we got him, and we didn't know if he'd live.
I don't remember any of this, by the way, because I don't think I was born.
You were born. You were approximately 3.
That's why I don't remember.
You were about 3. Yeah.
My memory is weird with him. I remember living in Texas with him.
Yeah.
But I have more memories living here in this house.
Yeah.
Than I do back in Texas.
And when we arrived here in Arizona, I don't believe it was legal to have him.
No, it was very illegal. We actually couldn't register him properly because if we did...
He was a German Shepherd here in Arizona.
Yeah.
He was part German Shepherd, but he was more wolf than German Shepherd. And he was very pack loyal. I mean, him and Sarah were like pups together, and they grew up together, and he wasn't protective in a very, like, mean way, but just, like, he would get between her and anybody. Yeah. And just stand there, and that's usually all it took.
Even, like, really close friends of mine that I would bring over to the house, if we started roughhousing, he would immediately insert himself into the situation and just be like, no, get away from her.
Yeah. And Sarah tried to teach him how to read and how to do a lot of things, but, like most dogs, they don't go past a certain point. But this dog here, he was very smart.
Yeah. He would, if you read him a book, he would sit in front of you.
Yep, and act like he was listening. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm sure he was listening, but he just, it was like fascinating. It was kind of like Olaf in Frozen, or Sven.
Yeah, more like
Sven. More like Sven, yeah. Anyway, that was Sarah's first dog, and then we got Shadow. He was
named ironically to start off with, and that ended up just being his name. Because he didn't... We rescued him from the Humane Society. And he was a German Shepherd mixed with what we think is Retriever. He was definitely more Retriever in nature because he was just this big... I have never in my life seen a dog love a human as much as Shadow loved Mom. Oh my goodness. He was just like this big, loving baby. And... it was just so strange because he was just such a wuss otherwise.
Yeah, and after having the wolf dog and being nipped and bit and roughhoused,
yeah.
Basically, the wolf dog was more my husband's dog. He was the alpha in the house, and when he left, the wolf dog took over. I didn't really have much say about what happened with that dog.
She means that, by the way.
Because that dog, if he were to stand up, he was a little bit taller than me when he was on his hind legs.
He was really big. The other thing,
but he was a nice dog, and I loved that dog to death.
But
when we got Shadow, he was so soft. And
gentle.
Just a cuddly bug and not very
aggressive.
Dominant, I would say. Or aggressive at all.
In fact, when we used to play with him, when we first got him, he anytime he did something, we would shower him with praise. Like, you know, if he actually got to sit, we'd be like, "Oh, Shadow! Oh, congratulations! You did it, buddy!" And us raising our voices even a few octaves above a certain level, he would pee everywhere because he'd get nervous and scared.
We almost called him Piddles, but he was a puppy. We generally taught that dog everything he knew.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a lot.
No, he was very, very dumb.
But he was sweet. He was so sweet.
He's a big, dumb sweetie.
But he spent probably the first 3 years of his life, well, really, maybe 1.5, with my husband trying to man him up and toughen him up. Well, none of that worked. And eventually he gave up.
It was
just
very
accepted
fun.
Shadow for Shadow.
Yeah. I mean, even when he would roughhouse, later on, in his later years, when you did roughhouse with him, he would go to bite you.
Yeah.
And it was more of a, he gently opened his mouth and, gently placed his teeth on your open arm and look at you like, is this a good?
Right.
Does this hurt? Am I hurting you? I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah, but we loved that dog. He was not socialized, and he was a hard dog to have because he wasn't socialized with other animals, and he loved the cat, but if he got near other dogs, we really couldn't, after a certain point,
take him outside,
walk him properly. Yeah. You could walk him when there weren't a lot of other animals out,
or people
late at night. Yeah, but he was really strong and really big.
Yeah,
he grew to be German Shepherd size.
Yeah. Mixed with
large retriever / German Shepherd.
German Shepherd size mixed with the bulk of a retriever behind it.
So in his elderly age, he was a lot to handle.
Yeah.
As we grew older too. And so now we don't have a dog, and we're thinking about getting another dog, but Sarah's not living with us, and
I'm still going to have a say.
She would like to have a dog, but she's in an apartment upstairs to boot.
Oh, I have a story.
Okay.
I have a story. My neighbor, he lives in the building next to mine. We both live upstairs, and he recently got a dog. And it's a puppy, and it's the cutest dog I've ever seen. I can't tell you what breed it is because I am unsure. All I know is that it's cute. And I've devised a plan to steal his dog because he occasionally puts the dog out on the balcony area, and he just leaves him out there for about 10-15 minutes. And that's plenty of time to get a ladder, climb up the ladder, and take the dog. And he would never know.
I think the dog would know.
Well, the dog knows. The dog knows us because I was telling you.
Sure, but the dog knows him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be so hot. You'd be caught right away.
I can do it. I'm dog deprived.
Well, we're thinking about. Actually, my husband brought up the idea of a palm ski, and then I looked that up and saw what all that entailed. I don't think we're up for that.
No.
Yeah.
Corgi is more your speed.
Corgi maybe, but I think Kitty would have a problem with Corgi.
Why?
It's too much like Kitty.
They're huge.
Kitty's huge. And low to the ground.
That's the thing with corgis. They're really big. They're big. Yeah. They're just low to the ground.
We need something that doesn't shed a ton and needs walked maybe once a day, but can be happy going out in the backyard and running around by itself a little bit, or being played with, by throwing a ball or something around the yard. It would be super great to have a socialized animal, though.
Yeah.
Again, my wolf was actually very social, and I could take him in the car.
Mm-hmm.
We could go through a drive-through.
We hardly needed a leash, really.
Right. but just mainly for other people's sake, because when they would see him coming, they'd go, "Is that a wolf?"
They'd go, "Whoa, what the hell kind of dog is that? Did you go in the woods to find that dog?"
In fact, I walked him a couple of times every day. He needed a lot more walking than a regular dog. He was a big dog. And he would meet up with this weenie dog in the park.
I remember.
And that weenie dog would just tear into him and like bite his feet and jump up and bite him, and shout, or Lucky would just stand over top of him and just let him do it. And he would just be wagging his tail like happy.
And he would never like play with that dog because he knew he
would eat that dog if he tried to play with that dog.
He knew he would do some serious damage.
When that weenie dog saw him coming, it was like, game on. I'm gonna beat you up, big wolf dog.
When Lucky and Dad used to play when I was a kid, I remember Dad coming away bloody by the end of it, just because Lucky played really, really hard.
Yeah, he had claws and stuff, and I didn't play with him like that. No. He knew not to play with me like that.
And he knew not to play with me like that either.
He always nipped, though. He was a nipper.
Yeah.
And he would nip.
He would, it's more of a pinch. A really, really just aggressive pinch. And he would bruise you if you were doing something you weren't supposed to be doing. Like, I wasn't supposed to jump on the bed. And I was a kid, and I jumped on my bed, and he would come into my room and pinch the skin on the backs of my ankles and my legs to get me to stop jumping. Because he's like, "I know you're not supposed to be doing this. Knock it off. You were breaking the rules."
Yeah, you and him had some fights, too. He would go in your room and take your toys. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I seem to remember a certain aerial Barbie that he just demolished. Just because
he liked that Barbie hair.
It was the red hair. Something
about the hair. Well, the other expertise area that we have about dogs is that Sarah and I both worked for a dog bed company
I worked for a year, so
yeah, I worked for about 4 years, and
I was essentially
it was a startup company.
I was essentially her entire marketing department. So anything that you saw.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the video.
Oh, no.
And this is where Sarah's love of motion graphics started.
It started before that.
Well, but this is where it came into its professional format.
Yeah.
This video launched this woman's company, okay? So that's what this girl can do for your company. She's for hire, by the way.
I am for hire.
Anyway, yeah, and another thing about that whole experience was that we did a blog, and I did it for a while.
And then I took on the responsibilities of it.
And we wrote about so many different dog breeds, and we learned all the traits about every dog that we wrote about. Yeah. And we interacted with all of her customers online as well. And it was just a really fun experience because we never met one person that didn't love dogs, that was not a nice person.
Yeah.
It was like her audience was our audience.
Very friendly and just like super about like...
And most of her customers were for big dogs because her beds were for big dogs. And you don't really realize how important it is to have a good dog bed that's waterproof when you don't own a big dog.
Yeah, she used to breed Great Danes. That was what she did.
And apparently they get bursitis really easy if you don't protect their joints. And when they lay down, those joints are exposed, and you want to keep them dry and padded.
I remember the first time I went to meet her, and they were in her office. She had 2 enormous Great Danes just kind of trolling around, and I'd never been in a room with a Great Dane before, so I'm 5'4", by the way, and that Great Dane could look me in the eye with ease.
Sarah was in high school when we worked for this lady. Her company, grown. I can say it. It's Dog Cheap Sleeps.
Yeah,
is no longer in business, and I don't know what happened to her and her business. Actually, we were let go of, and then the business disappeared offline. So I think she decided just to close it up. She had some health issues, and she was up in age, so maybe she just decided it was too much. Let it go. I really don't know. I'd love to know, though. But we did that for a while, and
I know the YouTube channel is still up because I'm one of the only people who still has access to it.
And I probably have access to it too, because like seriously, we created her entire online presence, and we sold. That was the sole way that she made money with
through
that
company.
Yeah, was she only sold online. And
she didn't have like a storefront, a physical
there
business
was no
aspect.
Physical. In fact, she actually owned an electric company as well.
Yeah, that was her main.
That was her brick and mortar business. Was she worked up in New River and she owned an electric company, and this was kind of like her passion. She bred and raised Great Danes, and she wanted to make sure that they had good dog beds.
Yeah.
So. I mean, it was a really fun job.
I wanted one of those puppies. I wanted one so bad.
Yeah, and she had a couple litters of puppies while we worked for her, too. Yeah. And it's really neat to see those puppies grow up because they're huge.
They're enormous.
Yeah.
They're the size of my hand.
They're so gangly, but they're such a different kind of dog, because they are big. And they don't live long. That's so sad. Their lifespans are just not that long.
There's another Great Dane. If you're in the gun community, there's a shop called Arizona Tactical, something like that. And the owner has a dog named Zeus. He is this enormous Great Dane, and he just wanders around the shop, and he's super socialized and he's super friendly. And the only reason why I know this, I'm not a gun person, but my boyfriend is. And the only reason why I know this is because we ended up going there one day, and I didn't want to go in there. And he's like, "There's going to be a dog." And I was like, "All right, fine. I guess I can go in." So we ended up going in, and this dog is just like the greatest thing ever. So if you happen to be into guns and also super happy about dogs, typically he's there on Mondays. Typically. He's a very happy thing. He's so big, their countertops are kind of high, and occasionally he'll go and stand by someone who's sitting at the computer, and it'll look like he's at the computer doing business stuff. I don't know, it's cute, and it's a good thing.
Well, we have a few recommends this week. The first one is a couple of places you can go to if you want to volunteer, donate, or adopt an animal. They have dogs and cats, so Arizona Humane Society, that's where we got Shadow. Mm-hmm. They have a few locations around the valley, and you can actually browse through the pets that they have available online. The Maricopa County Animal Care and Control also has this feature where they are now taking pictures of the dogs.
Really?
Yeah, outside the kennel, and in a happier situation than they generally are down there. That shelter is hard for me to go into.
I agree.
But they have been having giveaway weekends sponsored by local businesses. And when they have those, the adoption fees are waived. The animal comes completely chipped, spayed or neutered, and vaccinated, and has a certain degree of health guaranteed to it. And if it's not a healthy animal, I believe there's a certain bit of care that can be given to the animal at either a very low cost or no cost. So that's always something to consider when you get a pet from a shelter, because both of ours had really
bad health issues.
One was Bordetella, the other was the distemper / mites situation. Yeah,
and Shadow developed. I think when we had Shadow, after about like a week, he developed a terrible kennel cough. Very, very.
He had a bad fever and stuff.
Yeah,
too. He needed to have a special shot that cost $150.
Oh boy.
Anyway, the other things that we want to pitch are a couple of affiliates that we have through Amazon. The first one is iFetch, and Sarah suggested this. It's a game. It's a brain game for your dog. So it actually rolls or shoots out a tennis ball type ball. And I believe this can be used indoors.
Yeah, it can.
As well as outdoors, yeah.
It doesn't like launch the ball. Like when you
it just kind of rolls it out.
Yeah, when you say tennis ball, I assume most people think of like the tennis ball launcher. It's nothing like that. Basically, your dog puts the ball into a hole, and then there's 3 different ways that it could roll out of.
Right.
And it's not a treat-based system, meaning that,
No, but it does promote the dog to bring the ball back and drop it in the top.
Yep.
So it's a self, what do you call it? Self-playing system.
Yeah.
There's no human involved in this.
Yeah.
So this would be something you might want to leave for your dog while you're at work.
Or perhaps on a Disney trip.
Right. And then it comes with very small, actually, 1.6 diameter miniature tennis balls. So I think it's for small dogs. But you might want to check out the link, and it might come as well for bigger dogs. But you might not want a bigger dog trumping all over your house with tennis balls, with full-size tennis balls. So. And I'm thinking this is something a cat might like too. But they're not going to bring the ball back. But,
no.
But they would like you to put the ball in there and let it roll out. No. Yeah, they would definitely like that.
Oh my God, I could just see Kitty. Oh boy. Looking at you with that look she's got with her ears flat and like, put the ball in the thing.
Kitty was raised by a dog.
Yes, she was.
So yes. She's special.
She wags her tail.
And then I found a dog bed that's very similar to the ones that we sold. And it's super good for mature dogs or maybe even sick dogs because it is waterproof. It's totally, it has a waterproof under pad. And as well as it's waterproof, it has a waterproof cover and a soft cover that goes over top of it. So there's many aspects of it.
Layers.
Yeah. And, one of the things that when we sold the beds was that sometimes the ground gets cold. So the waterproofing helps keep that cold and wet off the bed.
Yeah. And
doesn't transfer that through the bed.
At least here in Arizona, typically a household doesn't have carpeting.
So having that waterproof pad under, it's important, as well as the wraparound waterproofing.
Yeah, because like even in the summertime, like the point of having tiled flooring throughout your entire house is that your house isn't 100 degrees.
Yeah.
It keeps your house cool. But in the wintertime, it sucks because feet are cold.
That's another feature of this dog bed too, is it keeps the dog warm or cold depending. If it's hot, it's breathable material. It's not a plastic material. It's almost like a leather-like material. Yeah. So it breathes and it keeps the dog warm or cool, depending on the temperature.
Comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable. It's a comfortable dog bed. And when you have a best friend that's lived with you a long time, you want to make them comfortable. And give them a good dog bed.
They're not your friend at that point if they're living with you for several years. They're family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do we have anything else, Sarah?
I want a dog, Mom. I want one so bad. Oh my God. I miss having a dog.
What do you like about corgis?
They're adorable. They're little. They've got the cutest little butt because their tails aren't very long.
Yeah.
They've got kind of like stubby tails. So when they wag their tail, their whole butt moves. And this is so cute. They're like little fat sausages. I'm specifically calling out Welsh corgis, by the way. Not... I like other corgis as well, but what I mean by, like, they have a cute butt, I'm talking about Welsh corgis. And they also have German Shepherd corgis, so
wow,
there's that. And Husky corgis, which look ridiculous.
I wonder if they have the trait of a Husky, though,
might.
Super hyper.
Well, corgis can be hyper.
Can they?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They're playful.
I'm just thinking for your dad, that's a tripping hazard. That's why we haven't really thought about small dog, maybe medium dog. We're looking at, border collie.
I like border collies, but they're so foozy.
Foozy?
Yeah, like big poofy things, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they can be, yeah.
When I think Border Collie, I think Lassie.
No, they're not all Lassie.
Oh, okay.
Not all of them.
I literally, that's where my brain goes to. It's this big, fuzzy, foofy, crazy thing.
They have a lot of hair, and they probably do shed. I can't recall. Yeah. I know we did a vlog on them, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was back in 2011. That was a very long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I guess we worked for her. Well, you worked for a year, but I think I worked till 2016 was my last year with her.
I worked for her only for a year.
So that's 5 years, yeah. Yeah, I was right to begin with.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, Border Collies are smart, though, and helpful.
I like Huskies.
Trainable.
I'd feel terrible to bring a Husky all the way down here.
Oh, yeah, Husky can't live here. Yeah. I'm sure people have had Huskies here, but I wouldn't.
There's a Husky in my apartment complex somewhere.
Yeah.
And in the mornings, occasionally in the mornings, the person they live with, takes their toy away. So that way they're not like squeaking it all day while they're at work, I guess. But when they do it, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and all you can hear is through the walls of the apartment because he's crying because he wants his toy.
Jeez.
And when they have their windows open sometimes and they take the toy away and he starts crying, you can hear my neighbor yell, "You'll get it when I get home."
Wow.
It's so funny. I find it funny. I can imagine being like the person living next to them and like the unit next to him. I imagine they probably hate that dog, but he lives far enough away.
It's hard to have a dog in an apartment situation. You don't really have like a good place for them to bathroom. Well, I guess you do.
We do,
have
but
synthetic grass.
Well, there is actually a dog park, but it's on the opposite side of the apartment complex to my building.
Oh, okay.
So I'd have to walk quite a distance in order to get that. And that park's not that big. It's about the size of this room we're sitting in. So,
which is about 15 by 15.
Yeah. It's not very big.
Yeah.
In fact, it might be smaller than that.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's a lot of traffic in it, and there's nowhere for the dog to run. A big dog like that needs to run and have fun.
And be socialized. That's another thing. Like, a lot of the dogs that are in my apartment complex are not necessarily the friendliest. Or they're too friendly, and they're excited, and they jump on you when you're just trying to take out your garbage or go to your car. And for me, personally, if your dog decides to leap on me because it's happy, I'm willing to go out that way. There's no need to apologize. I'm happy that your dog is happy. But if it's just going to snarl and be angry with me, then perhaps take it to an obedience class. I don't know. Like...
Yeah.
I don't need to be snarly. I'm just trying to take out my garbage.
That is a good thing to do, is to train your dog properly. And we did that with Shadow, and he had a set of skills after that.
He could sit.
Well,
and that was about it.
And he also listened when you talked to him.
Yeah.
You know, you gave him a command, he would.
Yeah. You'd tell him to go lay down, he would. Or
he knew some things. Prior to that, though, not so much. He was very much a puppy when we got him.
You could hear a pin drop in his head.
Yeah.
Pink.
Lucky was partially trained, and he was fostered with somebody. They found him, revived him. That's why he was named Lucky. They named him, and they fostered him for about, I want to say 5 months or something. He was with that lady a while, and she really worked with him. He was already crate trained. He was already able to tell us when he had to go to the bathroom. You know, and Sarah was at the end of her potty training right when we got the dog. So it was kind of interesting having them both be like...
Potty training.
Well, they were
graduates.
They were potty trained graduates, but just barely, yeah. And if somebody happened to, get diarrhea or both at the same time one day, I wrote this little essay called My Shitty Day. And it
Did you really?
I did. I don't know where it ever ended up, but I had to write about it because it was a lot of cleaning that day. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's life.
Yikes.
It's always interesting. My
shitty day.
All right, I think we're going to wrap this up now. Anything else, Sarah?
I want a dog.
Just that again.
I can't wait until I'm not in an apartment anymore, and I can't wait to be like,
you're working on it.
Going dog. Yeah. Oh, one more story about a dog that I know. A very good friend of mine. I won't say her name. I'll say her dog's name so she knows who I'm talking. So she knows I'm talking about her. His name is Axel, and he is the sweetest pit bull I have ever met in my entire life. All pit bulls are the sweetest things. They're just big, dumb, happy babies, and they get a bad rap, and it's unfortunate. But I used to go to her house, and she would like cut and dye my hair and like style it and do all kinds of stuff like that. And we've known each other since high school. And when she would put the little like cape, like the barber's cape on me, he would come over and stick his big wedge head in between me and the cape, and he would just rub his head up and down and tickle the shit out of me because my stomach is very, very ticklish. And he would make this very happy, like, yipping, growling noise while he was doing it. Like, he was laughing at me because he knew he was tickling me. And I couldn't sit still, and of course I have my friend above me who's got scissors in her hands, or like a pair of shears, trying to like shave my head or like, trim my hair, and here I am trying not to move too much and wiggle around while her dog tickles me. and he was very excitable. Like, she would have you stand on the tile part of her house, like in the kitchen, and she would open the back door and he would come storming in because he was one of those dogs that would jump on you because he was so happy to see you. It's unfortunate that he weighed 250 pounds.
Did you know, if you're a Star Trek fan, that Picard has a pit bull?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. You know, pit bulls are illegal in London, in the UK.
I didn't know that.
Yep. They are not allowed over there. You are not allowed to own one at all.
Wonder if Tim and I could handle a pit bull.
Probably if you get a nice baby gentle one. I'm telling you, man, you need to get like
a baby one.
Maybe a baby one, or like a dog that would, like a service dog, like an actual legitimate service dog. Because
I literally think Tim could qualify for a service dog.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or if not that, get a dog that failed out of the training for one.
Oh, that might work.
That's
more like us.
Get a failure. Yeah.
No.
You have me as a daughter. It works.
You are not a failure.
What's his name?
I'm just saying that's probably more our speed.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm trying to remember his name. He's a YouTuber, Ethan, Crank Games. He has a dog named Spencer, and his dog it failed out of he was being trained to be a service dog for diabetic people, and he failed the training because he was too friendly. And you can adopt those dogs. You can absolutely adopt them because they're not going to be able to complete their training.
I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, seriously. That's the best. That's the best thing.
I think through a veterans organization too, Tim might qualify for some of a service dog.
Yeah.
He literally needs it because he can't bend over properly and pick things off the floor and whatnot. So,
and the dog would be able to help him walk through crowds of people.
Yeah,
too.
He gets kind of bad about crowds of people, and that's why
the dog just walks in front of him and
clears the path. Yeah, he definitely would benefit with something like that.
I'm telling you, man.
Then we could take that dog to Walmart. When we take Tim to Walmart, that would make Walmart better. All the way around for everybody.
I get to pet the dog while we walk around.
People don't get to get run over by a cart by Tim.
People get excited when they see the dog, and they're like, "Oh, he's working! Look at him go! He's doing a good job."
Yep. Okay, so this is our episode on dogs, and we will see you again in a week for another episode with another random topic.
Hopefully not picked by me, because this was just me gushing about dogs.
We hope you enjoyed it and were at least entertained. We always like to hear your feedback. We actually have a 1-8-something number now where you can leave us a message.
Oh yeah, we do. I forgot about that.
We're gonna include it in the bottom of this episode. So going forward, if you would like to make your comments, we'll harken back to catch up with all those comments at some point in the future. And
I think the idea is that if you liked this episode and you wanted to comment on a dog story, perhaps you can leave a dog story in the little voicemail box. And next week, we'll start off the episode by listening to your dog stories.
Or our next dog episode, because I'm sure that this is not our last dog episode. No. It's kind of like the Disney episode. There's going to be part 1
and part 2
and to infinity.
And beyond.
Yes.
Yay!
Okay, Sarah. I love you.
Love you too, Ma.
Have a great week, everybody.